My job is to aware you, fully loaded, prepare you for all of the above that I'm never letting get near you. But still in all, give you every advantage I found. Couldn't find a better fit for them, along with my crown. And since the baton was passed, hopping down, cause failing's not an option, and dad is not a noun, not at all.
My message to any dad, man, first off, know that, yeah, it is a hard job, but it's the greatest job in the world. I wouldn't trade it for anything. I wouldn't change anything about it. Everything you're doing from here on out, if it didn't have purpose before, now it has purpose. It's the most important thing you'll ever do. Just be a dad.
They call us ugly in public, a fetish behind closed doors, the color of dirt. When everyone else forgets where they came from, we still wear creation on our faces, variation in our follicles. We have always been more perfection than natural selection, but they call us monkeys anyway. So forgive us if we celebrate when we see survival of the blackest. If we smile a bit bigger when we see a baby with more afro than torso. Sometimes victory looks like biding your time to find an oasis because everything else tastes like cactus juice. This love is all we have ever known. We are born of the desert. Isn't it natural that we are drawn to those who soak up the most sun? Especially when this world would have you drink a mirage and call it hydration. Every now and then we need a reminder that dark skin was beautiful before Lupita did it. That Barack and Michelle did not invent black monogamy. I can see Adam and Eve doing an electric slide with the birds of paradise long before the serpent showed us evil. Black love is about finding our way back to the Garden of Eden, about remembering what it's like to be naked before we understood the concept of shame, before we were ever called dangerous, called a forbidden fruit, before we were harvested for our innovation. We are God's first flowers with no fear of the sun, the loudest laugh in the restaurant, the Millie Rock on any block. We are Kendrick Lamar's loyalty, staying together for Al Green. Forgive us if we just let our souls glow. Coming to America has never been an easy task. We don't ask for much. We just laugh and live and fight and fall and cry and bawl and sing and dance and love and love and love. And we still love better than everything else.
Welcome to another episode of Dad Is Not a Noun. My name is Ishmael, changing the narrative for men of color fatherhood, as well as changing the narrative on the things I care about. And today I have an awesome guest with me. Coming up April is National Poetry Month, and I'm truly honored to have this brother on. He's an extraordinary poet, voice actor. This brother has many hats, and I'm just honored to have him on. And the reason why I had him on, because I recently was on the TikTok streets, and I was listening to his piece, Black Love, and it was a powerful piece. And I tell a lot of people that Black Love is revolutionary, and to have this brother to write a piece that should be on the tongue of every Black person across the world. And he's with me right now, the good brother, Kito. Thank you for coming on, brother.
Appreciate you, man. Thanks for having me.
No, thank you for coming on. The question I ask all my guests before we get into this great conversation, because I'm all about mental health. How's your heart at this moment?
Oof. You asked me at an interesting time. My heart is conflicted, to say the least. I mean, in general, I am good, but is my heart doing work right now? For sure. Yeah.
Yeah, and I understand if you don't want to divulge into it. I truly understand that, you know what I mean? But the beauty of
I can't go into too much detail other than, like sometimes it don't gotta be, nothing crazy. It's just, unfortunate, bad timing. Yeah.
No, definitely. And the world don't need to know. You don't have to give the world any answer or anything like that. You know what I'm saying? It's up to you, whatever you want to divulge to the world. So, but again, like I said, I appreciate your time for coming on. Also, let's get into it a little bit. As a poet, man, when did you fell in love in poetry, in writing?
Definitely in college. I kind of been around poetry my whole life because my dad didn't really write his own poetry, but he used to like memorize like famous speeches and poems and stuff like that and recite them. Like he was an orator. And when we were on the way to school and stuff like that in the morning, he would have us like reciting poems and, a lot of classic stuff, some like Khalil Gibran or Longfellow or, whoever, right? And it was just something that we did. But, just like everybody else, I was in college and I was talking to this girl and I was trying to impress her. And me and my roommate were binge watching Rudy Francisco videos. If you don't know Rudy Francisco, you should absolutely check him out. And yeah, we were watching Rudy Francisco and, old school Strivers Row with Alicia Harris and Jasmine Mans and Joshua Bennett, all those guys. And like, that plus the right inspiration, I was like, oh, well, let me try a thing, And then the first time, like, I went to an open mic and like performed that poem that I wrote, like, and got to feed off of the audience and, kind of, it was like, oh, wow. Like, Alicia Harris says it's like looking at yourself in the mirror for the first time. And I've never felt anything so true. Like, oh, wow, that is me. I've been wondering this whole time and now I know,
Yeah, and as a writer, just talk about that transition of loving to write, as you built your confidence in your writing skills, and then transition to jumping on the stage, because I think that's one of the greatest vulnerability of a writer, to go onto a stage and recite what you write, and memorize it, and then go on stage and write and recite it.
Well, what's interesting is that I feel like I kind of had the opposite experience that most poets have, where a lot of poets, they fall in love with the writing process first. But I was raised in Black church. They've been having me on stage since I was tiny. You know what I mean? Like our little children's choir used to put on musicals and all that kind of stuff. And I was always like a theater kid wherever I went. So I actually fell in love with the stage first, right? And then discovered this medium through writing where it's like, oh, well, I get to be the writer, director, producer, all of that of my own like works. And that kind of happened that way. And then, when I got introduced to more writers, I started getting obsessed with people that had tools in their bag that I didn't have. So like, yes, I knew I could grab people with performance, but the people who could write me under the table, you know what I mean? And not have to change their level from here and grab the attention of the audience with pure words. That's what really started driving me to be like, okay, there's so many levels to this writing thing. I need to be able to master all the tools. You know what I mean? So like I said, I kind of fell in love with it in reverse order. The people that had command over the language. And you could also say like hip hop was a major factor for that for me too. Like my first time, okay, I grew up on hip hop, but like my first time listening to like Lupe Fiasco, and like early Eminem, like people that were just masters of the language and manipulating the language and words and, Mos Def and Andre 3000. Like I was like, oh man. So I already had that like appreciation for lyricists. And I feel like that this spoken word medium like really gave me a chance to put those two things together. But for sure, I fell in love with the stage first and then with writing after.
And then talk about a moment in history where you had that aha moment. Like maybe it was the first time you recited on stage, where you're like, this is where I belong. This is what I need to do.
Well, what's funny is I wrote that poem for that girl. And then our school had like some kind of like Valentine's Day thing. And I read it in front of people and people were like, dang, Kito, I didn't know you was a poet. And I was so corny. I was like, man, I'm not even a poet. You know what I'm saying? She just inspired me like that. It was crazy. But yeah, I just thought it was a thing that I did. And then like a year later, my sister, who has always been a writer, I showed her the poem that I wrote and she was like, oh my God, Kito, Like you need to be writing all the time, right? And then I went to college in Trinidad. I went to the University of Southern Caribbean, and there was this group there called the 2 Cents Movement that used to do open mics, right? Um, and I had been writing again regularly for about like 5, 6 months, and they had an open mic. And the first time I went and performed that poem, and like the audience members were just like, they were just going bonkers and like, like grabbing people, and then like the community part was like major for me. That we also started doing like workshops where a lot of the really good writers in Trinidad would come and do like workshops for us. Shout out Darren Sandy, always like working with us, showing us new poems, and like kind of putting that fire in us, to write more and perform more. So once I found the community, like that was it. But I think that one day on the stage, like forever ago, when I performed that poem, like that being in that room on that night was like, oh, I don't like, this is it. You know what I mean? I don't know if I knew that I would be doing poetry for a living right then and there, but I was like, I knew I would always be writing,
Definitely, definitely. And just talk about, because I've seen like a lot of your videos when you
Mm-hmm.
recite. And I think one of the things I get from you, but a lot of poets, is the power of hand movements. Like I see your hands moving a lot when you recite, and your hands kind of goes with the flow of your poem. And certain words that you say, your hands kind of move a certain way. So can you kind of talk
Yeah.
about that hand movement in spoken words?
Well, what's interesting is that like when I first started performing, I had rapper hands bad. Where I was like, and I felt like with every bar I had to go, you know what I mean? Like I had that real bad. And that was actually something that my coaches, the first time I made a slam team, that my coaches kind of coached out of me, right? Because it used to be so, or it would be like choreographed, like
Right.
here, right? And my coaches really like my first slam coaches were Shihan and Javon Johnson, and then Alicia Wise and Cuba Hernandez after that, and they really kind of pushed the idea of like, hey, if you stay in the poem mentally, like if you listen to yourself, right? I'm a naturally expressive person anyway. I mean, I use my hands when I talk anyway, right? But if you stay in the poem, right, your body will follow suit, but it won't feel like robotic. It won't be like, oh, this is the bar, so I raise the bar, and you have to show the people raising the bar. It's like, no, they get it. The audience is listening. You don't have to map it out for them. You just, and it also, like when you're not as focused about that part, it kind of makes you feel more grounded and solid in stage, and it gives the audience more of a feel like they have to lean in to listen and pay attention to every word. And then like you just express yourself, but it doesn't have to be like super choreographed. So it's a tool. I know that there are certain times where like I use specific hand movements because it represents the energy of it, but it's not like I'm like a bird, you know what I'm saying? Like it doesn't have to be all that, Exactly.
No, and I agree with you 100%, because I think
Yeah.
I appreciate poets is that we are ancestors of the Negro hymn,
Yeah.
and we're taking them into our world. You know what I mean? How we
Mhm.
see the world. You know what I mean? And I think how we use our hands is again a way where we're like, I wouldn't say acting, because these are our
Mhm.
truths. We're just
Mhm.
using our bodies, because that's also a part of the poet's experience, that we want people, the listeners, to be a part of that experience with us.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
let's get into that piece, Black Love, man. In this current
Mhm.
environment we're in, you see like this deletion of Black excellence and history that played a role into this country. Your
Mhm.
poem that you did a long time ago is so relevant today. So talk about the inspiration behind Black Love.
Oh man, there's a there's a whole story to that.
I got all day if you got all day.
Okay, so there was this time, right? You know, I've always been like more attracted to and more interested in Black women, like really my whole life. That's just, you know, that's what I was raised around. That's what I know, all that kind of stuff. But I always had the idea like that, you know, however God sends my person to me, I'll take it. You know what I mean? Like that's just how it was, you know. And I remember having like a very spirited conversation with some other Slam team members of mine. And I was just like, you know, because they were just like, yeah, you know, certain things I can't rock with and all that kind of stuff. And I thought that they were being harsh, you know what I mean? Like, no, you know, love is love, right? And it is, right? I'm not deciding anything for anybody else. I'm talking about for me, right? So I ended up writing this poem, right? Because at the time, there was somebody that I felt like might have been interested in me, right? That happened to be a white girl. And she was kind. She was, you know, there was nothing necessarily wrong with her, all that kind of stuff. She was attractive. And I had a moment where I was like, dang, Kito, you know, if anybody else was giving you energy this way, you probably would have been asked her out or said something or made a move, whatever, right? But I just couldn't get, there's this idea in my head that I have of like, you know, master's wife and the big, strong slave in the back. And I just could not get that image out of my head. So I wrote this poem that was actually about me checking my own prejudice, right? I'm saying that very specifically, not racism, prejudice, right?
And again, let's break it down because some people don't know the difference between prejudice and racism. You know,
racism is systematic. Exactly. Racism is systematic. Racism is intentional. You have to be in a position where you can exert your prejudice over somebody else, right? Prejudice is something that I think every human has to a certain extent, you know, and it's kind of comes off of your experiences and all that kind of stuff. Now, not everybody has to be an asshole. Not everybody has to be mean or whatever, or enact it, but you know, it's something that you feel, right? So I wrote this poem, right? And I decided to go to this one open mic, right? Normally, like introspective poems like that, I'm like, it stays here. I'll wait till I have it memorized and edited and all that kind of stuff. But there was this one mic that I felt very safe at that I loved back in Riverside. It's called Back to the Grind. And I go and I perform this poem, man. What is the rules around language in this podcast?
There's no rules because it's my podcast.
Okay. So I do on a whim just decide to read this poem, right? Because it felt fresh to me and all that kind of stuff. Now, mind you, my poem is about me battling with my own prejudice, right? How I couldn't get the idea of this, you know, the master's wife and all the racial dynamics between Black and white people, and also the idea that there's all these Black women who are educated and beautiful and all that kind of stuff. And with all these women, I decided to go get a white girl, like all of that stuff in my head, right? But at the end of the poem, I was like, you know what? However God sent it to me, I'll take her, right? That was the conclusion of the poem. I performed this poem, and like 2 people later, this middle age, you know, / older white woman who does like folksy music says, oh, like, I just want to shout out Kito. His poem was so beautiful. And he inspired me to perform this song that I wrote. And then she basically gets up there and does a song about her fucking a Black man for the first time.
Wow.
And I was like, oh shit. First of all, I was like, this poem is dead forever. Like nobody will ever hear this poem again. Right. But it was also my first time seeing in real time the consequences of my actions as a poet. You know what I mean? That like, even if you intended something one way, the audience can take it and run with it in a different way. And you don't know what you're responsible for what you say. You know what I mean? Because I was doing that and she automatically jumped straight into like fetish, like maybe she knew she was doing it. Maybe she didn't. I doubt she knew. Right? She thought that she was connecting with my poem. And I was like, if you think that we are connected on this thing and that made you do that song, then something is gravely wrong. And I think that was kind of the day that I kind of said, I was like, you know what? It's Black women for me, dog. Like, and I like, because there's just certain things there's certain conversations I don't want to have. There's certain things that like, you want to sit here and war over religion and belief. We could do that. Right. Let's do that. You know, you want to rage over culture, certain things, hip hop, you know, all these different things, right? Different value systems, all that. Cool. But there's certain conversations I don't want to have. I don't want to come back from the police officer profiling me. And then when I come back in the house and I start telling my story, I feel like there's like a question of it. Or I want to be able to be in the room and maybe I don't notice that something's going on, but she notices and she's like, hey, let's get up out of here, or let's call this out. You know what I mean? Like, and there's nobody like that but a Black woman, bro. And I'm not saying that can't be fulfilled or through somebody else. Like I said, love is love. Be with who you want to be with. And I love it and I celebrate it. Right. But for me, Black women, bro, there's a attentiveness. There's like a softness and power at the same time. Dynamic. There's things that don't need to be explained and are just like acted on. And knowing when to act and knowing when to give you the time to just work through your feelings, or when we just need to sit. You know what I mean? We don't got to talk about it. You know, all of that stuff, man. It's Black woman for me. And the chances of somebody that is not Black getting all of that right is so rare to me. And basically, like about a year or so after that, like when I was solidified in that decision, that's what led me to writing that poem. Because I was just like, you know, I even say it in the poem, like, we got this idea that dark skin wasn't beautiful until Lupita did it. And that Lupita was like this anomaly. Oh my God, look at this stunning dark skinned woman. It's like, you know, that happens every day, bro. And not just in Hollywood. That happens in South Central, that happens in Ghana, that happens in New York, that happens in Trinidad. Like, what are you talking about? Matter of fact, it is the norm. Actually, it's not even an anomaly. You know what I mean? But then making it like this idea, like, oh, or I tell people like, what are my parameters and like my beliefs and my morals, and they give me this idea that, like, you know, because I'm kind of like a Black nerd and an artist and a Christian and all these different things, that I can't find, that I'm limiting myself by limiting myself to Black women, because the chances of me finding a woman who is all the things that I need is like rare somehow. And I'm like, nah, nigga, I can find everything I'm looking for in a Black woman, and I'm gonna show y'all too, you know? So yeah, that's kind of where that poem like came from. I know it's a long story, but
I think it's a perfect perfect down the line, because again, it goes back to being Black versus humanity, right? You on stage giving your all up with this piece, Black Love, and this woman's interpretation of peace is like, oh, okay, he gives me a green light to say, yeah, I fucked a lot of Black dudes, and that wasn't about the piece. It's like, it's a little deeper than you, like, oh, okay, if he's talking about Black love and loving himself and loving his people, then I get the green light to say, yeah, I fucked all these Black dudes.
Yeah. And to clarify, like the piece that she reacted to was not the Black love poem.
Okay.
It was this poem that I wrote at the time that was about me checking my own privilege for not giving this white girl a chance. You know what I mean? Like that's the poem that she heard, but she took that idea and ran with it. And I was like, did you not hear what I was saying in the poem? Because if you were actually listening, that's the other part too. Like if you were actually listening to the poem, you would never fix your mouth to jump on here like that. You know what I mean? Like, but you know, she saw and heard what she wanted to, and then went down her own road. And I was just like, yeah, see, I don't even want to have to, oh my God, imagine that was a girl that I was dating.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And now I have to do the work to sit down and explain to her why me checking my own privilege and you fucking a black man is not the same thing.
Right.
I shouldn't have to explain that to you. I shouldn't have to clear that up and, you know, or like find the right words or be nice. Or when sometimes I'm just like, man, bruh, that's just white people being white, man. You know, I don't want to have to explain that, you know?
No, you shouldn't have to. No. And you shouldn't have to. But going back to the Black Love piece, what I loved about that piece of when you brought up monogamy, like, you know, it wasn't former President Barack Obama.
Yeah.
No.
That invented black monogamy. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
This goes generation. And then the other part I love about that piece when you said we were the God's first flowers
with no fear of the sun.
Yes. Just talk about those two parts of the piece, man, because I think those are the two that kind of stuck out to me the most. But the piece was phenomenal overall.
Yeah. That was a thing, because especially I think it's even more so now, because I think at the time when I wrote the piece, like there was a big push. I think it was like maybe just before Black Panther came out, or not too long before it. And there was like this push for more Black representation. And, you know, one of the things that is like, that really makes my heart happy is like when I go around I teach, and when I go around like to high schools and stuff like that like the young Black people just have their hair out. You know, when I was growing up, you know, dudes had fades, you know, fades or straight back cornrows, and that was it. You know, and even the cornrows were kind of frowned upon by a lot of people. You know, that wasn't professional, right? Yeah. So like, and I've kind of been rocking the Afro look my whole life, you know. So like this, people had just started transitioning to like a whole lot of Black women, like, you know, doing the big chop, like cutting off like damaged hair and letting it grow in naturally. And, you know, that had kind of just got it like really going like more mainstream. But again, even when it was happening, they were making it seem like it was this miracle, like this surprise. You know what I mean? Like, oh my gosh, look how beautiful Barack and Michelle are together. And I'm like, well, like we've been had examples, right? And like I even referenced in the poem, like I can see Adam and Eve doing an electric slide with the birds of paradise. You know what I mean? Like it actually, if we go all the way back to the first, David's Black too, actually. You know, I got a whole nother poem that's all about Jesus being Black. You know what I mean? Like the idea that this is like some surprise or some new thing or like a fad, you know, is crazy, because it's like this is all of history. This is generational. This is our ancestors going all the way back, you know. And also the idea of it being right, doing that. Oh yeah, the idea of us being, you know, the loudest laugh in the restaurant and God's first flowers with no fear of the sun is kind of just like, it's a cultural thing, you know, because that's the other thing too, is that like Blackness is so fearless. You know what I mean? We express. One of my favorite things about being in Trinidad when I was in college there was just like, you know, I remember our choir, we had like a movie night, right? We watching Megamind. Every single person in this room has seen Megamind before, probably more than once. But when the jokes happen on screen, we are laughing like it's the first time. You know what I mean? Like because you just enjoy it. Like what is this? Tee, what is that? That's not a laugh. You know what I'm saying? It's the and run across the room and like shake things off the desk and slap somebody's leg. You know what I mean? Like that's all it. And then while we're in the midst of doing that, you know, somebody on the other side of the restaurant is looking at us like, why are you being so loud? It's like, this ain't the fucking library, bro. We here to have a good time. You know what I mean? And that idea is also like reflected in who we are. You know, we're not scared to be out here and be pretty at the same time, you know, be beautiful and loud and swaggy and all that kind of stuff. That is who we are, you know? So, yeah, that's kind of what I was speaking to in that part, just like that we are fearless and, you know, God made us that way and we stand in it, you know?
Definitely, and that's the beauty of it, is that we stand in it, we embrace it, we love it. I'll go back to what I'm paraphrasing what James Baldwin once said. It's like African American, like being African, you lose your memory. Being American, you lose your privilege of being American, and through that, we still find a way to still love ourselves.
Yes, exactly.
And we're the only
Exactly.
people on this planet that adapted compared to any other community. We adapted and
Yeah,
thrived through the hardships than any other group.
absolutely.
Position, talk about your
Mhm.
love of being a Blerd.
Oh, well, look, um, I was this idea of like being like a nerd, like I guess I accepted it after a while, you know what I mean? But like to me, it was just growing up in the 90s. You know what I'm saying? Like even this idea, like it wasn't until I like when I was growing up, like in the hood, there was no like, oh, black nerd this or black nerd that. It was just, you know, we was all into the same stuff. Dragon Ball Z was popping, Inuyasha was popping. You know what I'm saying? Cyborg 009, if you know, you know. like we was watching all of that stuff when we were growing up, and it didn't seem like this thing that like black people weren't allowed to be a part of. We was just growing up in the 90s. That's what was hot. We was all playing Pokemon. We was all watching Yu-Gi-Oh! Like, what's going on? You know, it actually wasn't until I moved out to the suburbs that they started like attaching a label to it. Like, you know, like, oh, well, yeah, black kids are like, oh, you watch that? Like, how black are you? And I'm like, what are you talking about, man? Like, and I would say this, it's as a nerd lifer, I guess. I think it is beautiful to see so many people like just come out and be mainstream. I mean, you seeing TikToks about it and people online, like streamers are celebrities now, which are also just nerds. You know what I mean? Like those are just gamers that people pay money to. You know what I mean? I think it's beautiful. All the different like comedy videos and stuff like that people are doing. And then I do like that the stigma has kind of gone away from it, that like, you know, that if you're a nerd, that means somehow that you're like sitting at home twiddling your thumbs in your mom's basement. Like I love that label is kind of like going away. But yeah, man, I did the hard yards, you know what I'm saying? I had to stand up for myself, you know, paying Blade dates in the lunch boxes in middle school. And people were like, I guess, making fun of us for it. But I was like, how you gonna make fun of me for something that I like? Like, oh, you like Naruto? Yeah, because I'm cool and Naruto's cool. What's wrong with you? Why don't you like Naruto? I'm to the point now where it's like, now that all the stigma is gone and whatnot, anybody who knows me knows that like, if I hear you don't watch any anime, I'm like, we'll have a counseling session. I'm like, hey, look, come on.
Little therapy.
If you don't like anime, that's like saying you don't like music. You just ain't found your genre yet. Like we will find something for you. Oh, what, you like mysteries? Here, let's go down this road. Right? Oh, you like wartime? You like gory stuff? Oh, you know what I'm saying? Oh, you like a little slice of life? Oh, okay, well let's walk you down this road. You know what I'm saying? We can find something for you. You know what I mean? I be telling people all the time, like, grow up and watch an anime. It's 2026. Every
And
adult should be watching some kind of anime.
what I find fascinating about anime is like when you watch like American animation and things like
Mhm.
that, but when you get into like Japanese anime, the beauty of Japanese anime is that you see characters grow up as you grow up.
Yeah, that's real. The
And then
long form
also,
ones for sure. Yeah,
and then on top of it, you see this conversation of politics that plays in a lot of anime. Like when you go
absolutely.
deep into the weeds of it, you can just see how like the story develops of how you have the lower underclass that's trying to rebel over the overclass, and
Absolutely.
it goes serendipitously to what our current state is, or as in
Yeah.
history, the current state of the past of how
Yeah.
people try to rebel over their oppressor.
No, absolutely. I just wrote a poem about exactly that. It's called Posers. It's on my YouTube and Instagram and all that kind of stuff. If you want to check it out. Um, but yeah, it's about exactly that. Like if you think anime ain't political, I don't know what to do for you. You go watch Code Geass, where they're literally rebelling against Britannia, and you're telling me that it's not political, that it's not, that there's no undertones of it. Or if you see how the fishmen are treated in One Piece, and you don't think that that's like racial coded, like, so the in Full Metal Brotherhood, they literally have a thing called the Ishvalan War of Extinction. It's called Ishval. 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 They're darker skinned. They wear robes and they have like reddish eyes or whatever. And these people came through and extinct, like basically made them extinct and pushed them out of their land. If you think the Ishvalans are not Palestine, then you're fucking crazy. You know what I mean? They didn't even try to make it different. You know what I'm saying? like you just gotta like wear your actual thinking brain. And to be honest, I think that the people that are in denial of that are just, they're the same people that just are so focused and concerned on themselves, and their benefits and what that they might have to give up, I guess, that they kind of don't really give a fuck about all people. So um, I think that it is, matter of fact, like not just think, like I know, like you cannot truly claim to be a nerd or a weeb or like be a part of like anime culture or whatever, or nerd culture, and not like, bro, you play Ghost of Tsushima, and you out here rooting for the Mongolians, bro. You like, bro, you play Assassin's Creed and you root for the wrong side, bro. Like, what are you doing? You played that whole game? You played that whole game and you ended up on the wrong side? What is wrong with you, man? That it's just genuinely baffling. But I think that that black nerds are the people who are going to save the world. That's what Sam J said that one time in an interview. She said the black nerds are gonna be the ones to save the world, because we've been standing up for what we believe in since we were little. When people were making fun of us for being nerds, and we never moved from it, and now the whole world is in on it, and we're like, yeah, we've been, I think, and also I think there is that element of like, when you watch that stuff, even if you never went deep into anime, if you just watch Pokemon alone, like power of friendship, standing up for each other, making sure things are even and right for all parties. Those are just general human principles. Those are things that we taught. And it's crazy to me that people are turning around now and acting like those aren't the principles that we've all, been saying is the norm. And then all of a sudden, now that you might have to sacrifice something or change something, you don't believe in that anymore. I think that's corny.
And I just think when you think about anime, like Japanese anime, is
Mm.
right now for a long time, I think they've been the master of the allegories. If I'm thinking of pre-anime, I'm thinking of Godzilla. Like Godzilla was the perfect allegory where it talked about the impact of weapons of mass destruction. You know what I mean?
Yes. Hmm.
And so I just want to tip my hat to that because you know no other people had dealt with the impact of those spicy boom boom
Exactly.
boom than anyone else.
Yes.
And then to turn
Yes.
that into art that people understand and resonate to,
Exactly.
that tells a lot of a people.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Yeah, definitely. Definitely.
And bro,
Yeah.
you know, we're coming on to April, right? National Poetry
Yeah.
Month.
Hmm.
And it's up to you if you want to do it. All my guests, they
Hmm.
end the show with a poem. So if you want to end the show with a poem, it's yours. You could whatever in your catalog of poetry you want to recite, the flow is yours,
Okay.
brother.
Yeah, I'd be down to do a poem. Uh the podcast is called Dad is Not a Noun, so I'm gonna go with this poem here. I was always a skinny kid. Small and often labeled soft, I cried for everything. In an attempt to make me a man, my sisters beat me up often. At 13, still skin and bones with fresh testosterone, I squabbled with my cousin. And by squabble, I mean she hit me repeatedly and I did nothing. Cousin Kim's hands are heavy. With each impact, I plead for a ceasefire, but she fires without ceasing. I seize her, lift her up, and throw her on the ground for the first time in my life. I feel like a real man. I'm a warrior in a suit of glass armor. It's heavy, but I'm used to it now. I wear it into battles because it's supposed to protect me. My father wore it before me, and he was a mountain of a man, sliced through life like he was the sun itself and not a reflection of it. He would always go into battles and come back with it cracked but not broken, always cracked but not broken, and now it's mine. But I'm tired of going into war with King Saul's armor, pretending like I don't play harp and 10 sheep on the weekdays. I mean, two of my favorite things are watching romantic comedies or listening to playlists full of slow jams, but only when I'm alone. Men can't express this softness in public. We are taught early that romance is not ours to celebrate. So my freshman year, I messed around with a girl I had no interest in. She was a bonus assignment, and I, a failing student, desperately trying to make up enough credits to graduate into manhood, bragged to all my homies just so they could be proud of me. Like maybe if she did enough jobs, I could work my way out of this low self-esteem. A few years back, my little cousin comes over. He cries for everything. I hit him repeatedly, and he does nothing. I tell him to stop crying. I tell myself, I'm just trying to make him into. I once told my father I wanted to be nothing like him. It was the first time I'd ever seen him cry. I felt so guilty that I cried too, but he was a mountain of a man, and I was just a skinny kid. Could it be that a mountain and a pebble are made of the same substance? After all these years, can I finally dip my quill in all the tears I held back for no reason? The ones from my best friend's funeral, from my sister's wedding, from that one poem on that one stage. Can my manhood look like more diffused fights than finished ones? Can my manhood look like finding a wife without degrading my exes? Can my manhood look like vulnerability, like honesty, like self-control, like tears of joy? Could my manhood finally look like a real man, like me, unashamed, unedited, imperfect, going into battle and coming back with armor, cracked and broken? Let it be cracked and broken like David, armed with nothing but the faith in my chest and the stones to stand dauntless in the midst of my giants and smite them where they stand.
Wow, that's powerful. And just to let you know, the reason why I close my eyes because I want to feel the poem. And the one thing I learned from Abriel Doom is that when your poem hit when it hits the five senses: touch, feel, smell, taste, and sound. And they hit all those elements. And I just envision me like watching a film in real time when you were reciting. And
Mm,
that's how powerful that piece is.
appreciated that.
I appreciate that too, man. So, the next time you listen to a poet, um, close your eyes and just listen to the
Hmm.
poem. Don't watch the poet, just listen. And it just kind of it feels different. It hits different
Yeah.
because you can imagine yourself in the shoe of the poet. And so you're
Hmm.
like, you can relate to what the poet is saying. And
Yeah.
so I appreciate that, man. That was a powerful piece, man.
Appreciate
Um,
it, man. Thank you.
how can people find you?
You can find me everywhere at Keto Fortune, Kito Fortune, on Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, um, all the things except for Snapchat. That's not me. Um, but yeah, Kito Fortune. Um, yeah, I have, like I said, that poem that I mentioned earlier. I just posted a video for that. My little cousin actually did the music on it. Brilliant, brilliant, brilliant young man. But yeah, share it, get it out there. It's for that message for all the black nerds and for all the nerds in general to like rally against these cats who are claiming to be us but don't really believe in the same principles as us. You know what I mean? Like we got to stand on that. So
Facts.
yeah, check it out.
Definitely check it out. I'll start tagging people I know in the Blur universe in the comments to let people know. Let this be the anthem because I think this is important in the current time that we live in. That
Yeah,
you can't love anime if you're not involved into politics because they go hand in hand. So it's they go
absolutely.
both together. So, brother, thank you for coming on. Again, this has been a
Appreciate
great
you, man.
conversation on the podcast. Like, subscribe, and all that good stuff. And we're out. Peace. Stay on for one
Peace.
second.